So good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. The ceremony is going to start. It's now 5 minutes after 8, and we're going to kick her off here at about 8:15. So if you would, if you're not already at your seat, please find your seat, and we'll be ready to go here shortly. Thank you.
measure 5. Do not do the introduction. Measure 5.
Nothing personal. We're going to do the chance for a special train whistle concerto. We can all go. I've got a train whistle. Oh, I could have brought it.
Keep going, yeah.
Keep it up.
It's not very loud.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is this a great night for a ship launch or what? So we are pleased that you have joined us here this evening to be part of a tradition of seafaring nations that reaches back thousands of years, an event that has been observed as a public celebration and as a solemn blessing. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to all those who are watching the ceremony online via the NASSCO website. So my name is Dennis Dubard. I'm the Manager of Public and Government Relations here at General Dynamics NASSCO, and I'm going to be your MC for the evening. So on behalf of the men and women who labor in this shipyard every day, it is my honor to represent them and to welcome you. So we are pleased this evening to have the Coast Guard Color Guard from Sector San Diego here to open our ceremony. So will the guests please rise for the presentation of colors, our national anthem, and the invocation. Parade the colors. Our national anthem will be sung by Miss Sherry Lee from TOTE.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held, at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, noble ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave, nor the land of the free, and the home of the brave?
Great job. Retire the colors. Captain Kyle Fauntleroy, Chaplain Corps, United States Navy, Commander, Naval Surface Forces Pacific, will now deliver the invocation. Chaplain.
Join me in prayer, if you would. For generations, our God, the sea has provided sustenance for people around the world. And with the development of maritime trade routes, ships have extended nurture and commerce to elevate our quality of living. We humbly ask your blessing upon this ceremony as we dedicate and launch this magnificent ship into service. We thank you for the commitment of the gifted visionaries and technicians who have made this evening possible, and we pray their efforts and this ship will provide what matters, where it matters, when it matters. May TOTE 1, this spectacular example of environmental respect and efficiency, always travel sea lanes free of threat, with favorable winds and tides. Be with us now throughout this ceremony and throughout the life of this ship, for we pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Will the guests please be seated? So as I mentioned, we have the color guard from Coast Guard Sector San Diego. And so we really thank them for being here this evening. They had to make a last-minute change this morning because one of the petty officers that's actually in charge of the color guard found his first son was born this morning, a baby boy. So they had to make a last-minute change. The rumor is they named him Tote. But another thing about this young gentleman that I would like to talk about, is that last week, Petty Officer Giacomo Terrazizi got a call from the Commandant of the Coast Guard, and he's been elected as the Enlisted Person of the Year for the entire United States Coast Guard, and he lives right here in San Diego, and how special is that? Sherry, I know she was up here singing. They did a great job singing the national anthem. So I talked to her one day last week, and she said singing the national anthem in front of a large audience was on her bucket list. So I think she accomplished that. And the other thing you may or may not know about Sherry, that Sherry was actually a child actress in New York and Hollywood. So this is very fitting for her to be up here today, and she accomplished one of the things on her bucket list. And Sherry, wherever you went, great job. So our music this evening has been provided by Pat Fiffner and the Grand Pacific Band. Thanks, Pat. You know, the band has been with NASSCO for many, many years and has seen a lot of ships come and go. And so, Pat, thanks again for you guys being here. Appreciate it. So before we started the ceremony earlier, the ship sponsor were presented with a bouquet of flowers by the ceremonial flower girl. The flower girl is Miss Haley Bowden, and Haley is the daughter of Harry Bowden, a general supervisor in NASSCO's rigging department. So Haley, would you please stand and be recognized? She's right over there. There she is. She's actually standing. Ah, there you go. Thanks, Haley. So now I'd like to introduce our panel guest here on the platform. Starting on my right is our president of General Dynamics NASSCO and Bath Iron Works, Mr. Fred Harris.
Hey, Fred.
Our ship sponsor is Mrs. Michael Sacco. She is the wife of Michael Sacco, who is the president of Seafarers International Union, AFL-CIO. Sophie, great to have you here with us tonight. To her right is Mr. Anthony Chiarello. He's the Chief Operating Officer and President of TOTE. Immediately to my left is certainly no stranger to NASSCO, is the Honorable Duncan Hunter, representing California's 50th Congressional District. To the left is General Paul Silva, United States Air Force, Commander, U.S. Transportation Command. And to round out the first row is Mr. Mark Tabbitt, who's the chairman of Saltchuck. Starting in the second row, as I said earlier at the dinner, is a guy that's going to have the most fun. When we're all said and done and we're gone, he's going to have the most fun. He is the prospective captain of TOTE 1, Captain Andrew Mayer. Our chaplain this evening for the dinner and for the ceremony, again, is Captain Kyle Fauntleroy, United States Navy. He's from Commander Naval Surface Forces, and he is the Force Chaplain for the Pacific Fleet. And certainly, last but not certainly least, is Mr. Parker Larson, Director of Commercial Programs here at General Dynamics NASSCO. Parker. So we have some other distinguished guests in the audience that I'd like to recognize. If you could, please stand as I call your name. First is the Honorable Paul Chip Janik, Sr. He's the Maritime Administrator. He was supposed to have been here yesterday, but he had some challenges getting out of the Washington, D.C. area, but he stuck with it, and he's here, and I know he's happy to be out of Washington, D.C. and here in San Diego with us, so thank you, sir, for being here. Rear Admiral Joseph Servideo, he's the Coast Guard District Commander, District 11. Thank you, sir, for being here. We have the Honorable Marshal Merrifield. He's the Vice Chairman of the Unified Port of San Diego. The Honorable Rafael Castellanos, Commissioner, Unified Port of San Diego. The Honorable Ron Morrison, Mayor of National City. And the Honorable Serge Nadina, the Mayor of Imperial Beach. And a special welcome to the President of DSEC, Mr. Man-Soo Kim. The former Executive Vice President of the Marine Group, General Dynamics, Mr. Mike Toner. And former NASSCO President, Mr. Dick Vortman. Thank you all for attending and your ongoing support of the men and women of General Dynamics NASSCO. So now on with the ceremony. So it's now my honor to introduce our first guest speaker for the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President of General Dynamics NASSCO and Bath Iron Works, Mr. Fred Harris.
Thank you, Dennis, and good evening. I'd like to begin by welcoming our ship sponsor, Mrs. Sophie Sacco. I think we'll probably take 1 minute break. I'd also like to welcome a great friend to the U.S. shipbuilding industry, the Honorable Duncan Hunter. Our shipbuilding partners, Mr. Mark Tabbitt, Chairman, Solcheck Resources, and Mr. Anthony Chiarello, President and CEO of TOTE Incorporated. I am pleased to welcome you here with us today, a day of great milestones for NASSCO, TOTE, and the U.S. shipbuilding industry. We are especially proud that this christening marks NASSCO's 100th launch from this site over the past 56 years. This achievement would not have been possible without the hard work every day of the entire NASSCO team, tradespersons, engineers, supply chain, marketing, management, financial professionals, everyone. By their efforts over the years, NASSCO has earned the reputation for producing high-quality ships on budget and on time. The TOTE 1 ship before you, first of the Marlin class, is an outstanding example of our employees' dedication. She is the largest liquid natural gas powered container ship in the world. From the first block to the last, NASSCO erected and fit out this ship in just 23 weeks, a pace that is unmatched in modern U.S. shipbuilding history for a vessel of this size and complexity. This ship is currently on track to deliver in September, 2 months ahead of schedule. The Marlin class of ships incorporate state-of-the-art technology, including a fuel gas supply system powered by DSME, Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering of Korea. It is important to note that the Marlin class was designed in collaboration with our friends at DSEC, a subsidiary of DSME. Our long-term relationship with DSEC is something that is unique, not only here in the United States, but worldwide. We have been partners with DSEC for the past 9 years and have collaborated on 5 new build programs, which provided NASSCO access to new and innovative approaches to commercial shipbuilding and ship design. DSME's fuel gas supply system technology, coupled with the incorporation of MAN's newly developed dual fuel engine, results in dramatic emission reductions when compared to the Ponce class of ships these vessels are replacing, making them the most efficient, cleanest container ships in the world. I'd like to take a few minutes to recognize 5 people at NASSCO who contributed to the highly successful build of TOTE 1. Parker Larson, Donald Yakas, Janelle Harris, Frank Garcia, and Kerry Golding. Parker Larson is Director, Commercial Programs for NASSCO, responsible for the overall management of the TOTE Marlin class program. From the very beginning, Parker led NASSCO's efforts to develop the technical specification, complete contract negotiations, and design and build this great ship. Parker's job is to coordinate the efforts of all stakeholders across the U.S., Korea, Europe, in accordance with our schedules and on or under budget. He and his team are on track to meet these objectives. Parker and his team also pioneered new processes to ensure a seamless interface between NASSCO, TOTE Maritime, the American Bureau of Shipping, the United States Coast Guard, and other regulatory agencies. Parker, would you please stand and be recognized? Donald Yakas is a pipe fitter who began work on TOTE 1 during the outfitting stage and followed it into final integration and testing. Donald led the efforts to implement 12 process improvement initiatives put forward by him and other members of his team. These initiatives have resulted in reduced cost and schedule while improving quality. The team, for example, identified significant work content that could be performed earlier in the build cycle at the assembly shop instead of on board the ship at a much greater cost. As a result of this initiative and others, TOTE 2 piping installation costs will be approximately 30% less than the installation cost on TOTE 1. Donald and his team saved hundreds of man-hours and have made the job much safer. Donald, would you please stand? I'd like to thank you and your team for all your hard work and resourcefulness. I would also like to recognize Janelle Harris. Janelle is a supervisor in the Maintenance and Tool Department. Janelle was instrumental in the ramp-up for TOTE 1 in the central tool room. She developed metrics to manage hand tool inventories based on manpower curves. The late return rate for tools was greater than 89%, with over 10,000 tools issued yearly. Today, the average delinquency rate is less than 8%. This saves NASSCO more than $2 million per year in delinquent tool costs. In addition, on average, 900 times a week, we were out of stock of a consumable needed for such tools as welding tips or grinding discs. Today, with the new system, the average number of unavailable consumables is less than 10 per week. This saves NASSCO about $35,000 per year. Janelle not only championed implementation of this new system, she also developed the critical metrics that are used weekly to monitor system and shipyard performance. Janelle, would you please stand? I'd like to thank you and your team for your outstanding leadership. I would also like to recognize Frank Garcia, who is the primary crane cab operator in stage of construction 1. Frank's job was critical as the steel for TOTE 1 was thicker and heavier than any previously handled by NASSCO. The thickest plates were 2.5 inches, up to 10 feet by 52 feet in size, and weighed nearly 20 tons. Frank ensured that these heavy plates were processed safely with no personnel or facility incidents. Frank, would you please stand? I'd like to thank you and your team for an excellent job and work on TOTE. Frank? Next, I would like to recognize the man responsible for the construction of TOTE 1, Ship Manager Kerry Golding. This is Kerry's 4th assignment as the ship's manager. Under Kerry's leadership, TOTE 1's construction performance has been outstanding. More than 15,000 tons of steel, 97,000 feet of pipe and more than 590,000 feet of cable were erected on the ways again in only 23 weeks. When the ship hits the water tonight, it will be more than 90% complete. And lessons learned from TOTE 1 are helping us achieve ship-over-ship learning of about 15% for TOTE 2. NASSCO's rework rate, which is already world-class, was reduced another 37% by these remarkable people at NASSCO. Kerry is at the launch trigger station alongside the ship. Kerry, congratulations to you and your team for an exceptional job. I would be remiss if I did not recognize TOTE as a great partner in this endeavor. A Pulitzer Prize-winning author, Andre Gide, said that man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. This seems a fitting quotation to describe the leadership at TOTE, a company that had the courage to commit to ecological innovation in shipbuilding. TOTE and NASSCO have enjoyed a trusted relationship since we built the Orca-class trailer ships in the early 2000s. For the Marlin class, all parties worked diligently to develop this design. In fact, Phil Morrell, Vice President, Commercial Marine Operations for TOTE, and Parker Larson finalized the details of the design over the Thanksgiving break in 2012. The TOTE ship specification was developed, negotiated, and finalized in less than 3 months. This is unprecedented in modern shipbuilding for a project of this magnitude and could only have been achieved through the mutual trust and passion for shipbuilding and ship operation shared by both companies. At NASSCO, our motto has always been people building ships. The late Art Diaz, military sea lift commander's builders representative, once amended this phrase saying, "Friends build ships." I think it is a fitting description of the TOTE NASSCO partnership. We look forward to many more opportunities to work together to achieve even greater shipbuilding milestones. On behalf of the 3,600 hardworking employees and subcontractors of General Dynamics NASSCO, I'd like to present TOTE 1 for christening to our sponsor, Mrs. Sophie Sacco, the wife of Mike Sacco, President of the Seafarers International Union, AFL-CIO. Thank you all for being here, and very shortly we will begin.
Thanks, Fred. Our next speaker is Mr. Anthony Chiarello. Mr. Chiarello is the President and Chief Operating Officer for TOTE. He's a fourth-generation industry veteran with more than 34 years of experience in transportation and logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Anthony Chiarello.
Good evening and thank you, Fred and NASSCO and all the hard workers here who have made this a reality for us. Welcome Congressman Hunter and his son Duncan Hunter Jr., who's in the audience, who just a little over a year ago cut the first piece of steel for this vessel at a ceremony that we held here. I bet you never thought it would end up in this, did you? We're pretty excited about it, and thank you. General Paul Selver of Transcom, Mayor Alvin Brown, the Mayor of Jacksonville, which will serve as a home port for this vessel once in service, Administrator Janikin, Head of the Maritime Administration, Rear Admiral Joseph Servideo, a very good friend of ours, the U.S. Coast Guard, and Ingrid Kohlberg, the Executive Director of the Port Authority of Puerto Rico. Thank you for joining us to celebrate with NASSCO the achievement of our shared vision. And of course, our thanks to the people of San Diego and the Barrio Logan. They support NASSCO day in and day out. I know they must be very proud to be home of the world's most advanced shipyard. Thank you all for joining us this evening as we launch the first of two, second you see behind us, the world's first liquefied natural gas-powered container ship. This project is really about change. Change requires bold and innovative thinking from all parties. TOTE's selection of NASSCO to take the Marlins from concept to reality were the first of many dynamic partnerships that enabled our success in leading change, culminating in the event tonight. We have been extremely lucky to have the opportunity to work with so many partners in this groundbreaking venture who share our commitment for the environment and for doing what's right. Central to this project were our construction partners led by NASSCO. NASSCO receives specialized assistance from DSME, who helped with the vessel design, from MAN, who designed the engines, and from Cryos, who constructed the LNG tanks. These providers and all the other subcontractors provided unwavering support and commitment to making these ships a reality. They all helped us push the boundaries to become the first in the United States to use LNG as an environmentally superior maritime fuel, and to lead a global revolution, and it truly is a global revolution, towards a responsible, sustainable maritime industry whose environmental standards outstrip those imposed by even the most stringent laws. These providers, in turn, could not have succeeded without the exceptional and dedicated workforces, many who were referenced already and acknowledged tonight. To the Seafarers International Union and the American Maritime Officers, the willingness of these organizations to embrace change while holding us to the highest standards is what will set TOTE apart and ensure the Marlins are the safest, most reliable vessels in the world. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Paul. And thank you goes out to Augie Tellez, who had hoped to be here, but unfortunately his flight also got canceled. But he's here in our heart. And to Sophie Sacco, thank you for serving as our sponsor. You have accepted as godmother to this majestic vessel a responsibility which I know you do not take lightly. As godmother, your support for the many men and women who will serve on board for the months and years to come will be forever present. They are blessed to have you as their matriarch. Thank you. We have also had the privilege of working with a number of agencies to ensure that we have the right systems and procedures in place as we bring LNG online to fuel the Marlins. In particular, the United States Coast Guard has proven a firm but creative ally in this process. You have to understand, everything we're doing here, everything you're seeing is new. They're new ships, new fuel, new bunkering systems, new cargo design, and the list goes on. Instead of resistance, the U.S. Coast Guard has embraced this project and worked closely with our teams to facilitate it in a resourceful and transparent manner every step of the way. And again, I want to make a special thanks to Admiral Savidio. He was there from the beginning, and he set the collaborative tone for the entire Coast Guard engagement that we had. And if it hadn't been for that, maybe we wouldn't be as far along as we are today. So, Admiral, thank you very much. To our customers who have encouraged and supported us throughout this process, we could not have done this without you. Literally, we could not have done this without you. Thank you for challenging us to seek a better way to serve you and the people of Puerto Rico. Thank you for your continued loyalty and entrusting your cargo to us. As a recognition of your ongoing support, we have created a plaque with representative coins from many of our customers. I'm excited to present this plaque to our ship's master, Mr. Andrew Mayer. This plaque will be placed in the first vessel as a reminder of your support for TOTE and our combined commitment to Puerto Rico. Captain? Thank you, Captain. Thank you. Don't forget, they're your real boss. And a final thank you to our parent company, Saltchuk, to its leadership, to its board, to its shareholders. You have entrusted in TOTE with a very significant investment in the future of the group. We thank you for your support and trust. We do not take it lightly, and we will not let you down. Thank you again for joining us at this momentous occasion, and God bless this great American-built vessel to be crewed by American merchant mariners and to serve the people of this great nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Not to worry. Now, if you notice, there's a little bit of activity going underneath the ship. Not to worry. That's all part of the plan, so not to worry. So our next speaker here is the Salt Chuck Chairman, Mr. Mark Tabbitt. Salt Chuck is a family of transportation and distribution companies that are based in Seattle. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mark Tabbitt.
Thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? Sophie, thank you for performing the honors this evening. Mike, thank you for your leadership and being a partner with us for multi-generations. We know that Bob McMillan and Bob McGee are here with us tonight. I also want to make recognition of two of our owners that are here, Denise Tabbitt and Nicole Engel, up here in the front. Wave to everybody. Denise, Nicole, and their sister Michelle have taken on the second generation responsibilities of shareholders, and a testament to their commitment is hard to miss standing here today or sitting. One of the things that made this decision easier for us is that we're the second generation and we watch the first generation ahead of us, and specifically their dad, Mike Garvey, step up and sign for ships here at NASSCO some time ago. Our partnership with NASSCO began in the mid-1990s, and we worked together to design a new generation of domestic roll-on, roll-off vessels, which ultimately led to building the Orca-class ships for Alaska. 12 years ago, NASSCO delivered two magnificent ships, the Midnight Sun and the North Star. Since the launch of those two vessels, they have made more than 1,300 round trips between the Port of Tacoma and the Port of Anchorage. They transported, so far, roughly 750,000 trailers to the people of the great state of Alaska. With the delivery of these ships for Puerto Rico, our company will have invested close to $750 million with NASSCO to create the youngest and the most environmentally friendly general cargo fleet in America. We want to thank Fred Harris and his team for their commitment to our partnership. We especially want to thank the hundreds of men, the thousands of men and women that did the real work. The welding, the piping, the lifting, the planning, the electrical, the designing, the logistics, the painting, and all the other labor that went into building these ships. Our journey to construct these ships began here in the spring of 2011. NASSCO proposed a new cargo vessel design for the domestic trade. Our company brought to the table a deep understanding of the benefits of using natural gas fuel, an understanding that we gained through our decision to convert the Alaska Orca fleet to use natural gas as a power. We also brought very detailed knowledge about our customers' equipment and cargo requirements for the Puerto Rican trade. Together, we teamed to create the vessels and have achieved groundbreaking recognition for the vessels before us today. And we will serve the great people of Puerto Rico with these vessels, the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, for decades to come. A large number of people within our company made this project successful. I want to thank Anthony Chiarella, Peter Keller for their strong leadership roles in managing this major investment, and to John Parrott for the change to natural gas that we've made in shipping. I want to also thank Ben Christian, who has set a new standard in our company for shepherding a capital expenditure project through to completion. Ben started as a financial analyst in our office reviewing capital requests, and he transitioned to become the project manager for these vessels. Salt Chuck's a family of transportation companies. Our core values are safety, reliability, and commitment. We demonstrate commitment by giving back to the communities we serve, we show it through our efforts to protect the environment, and we prove it through reinvesting in our operations. We're 8,000 people strong, and throughout all parts of our company, there is great pride to be a part of this project. With the delivery of these two new container ships, the average age of TOTE's fleet will be just over 6 years. This is by far the youngest and most modern Jones Act general cargo fleet in our nation, and is also the environmentally most friendliest fleet. Our ability to achieve this major milestone has been helped tremendously by our country's maritime administration. MARAD has been a consistent promoter of our industry, including our nation's ports, shipping companies, merchant mariners, shipyards, and maritime labor. With us here today is Maritime Administrator Chip Janikin. Chip, thank you very much for all your support. One comment about one of the reasons we made this massive financial commitment, and that is our confidence in the Seastar team. Tim Nolan and his team that leads Seastar have all the faith in being one of the best management teams we have around Saltchuk. And one comment is all the Puerto Rican customers that are here today. I think the last 4 months has been a testament to what a great team they are. And finally, Congressman Hunter, the last story I have, and one of the proudest stories that we have in our company. In 2003, we received a call from Transcom, and they asked for TOTE to send and divert a ship to San Diego to load up with ammunition and head to the Persian Gulf. That ship that was dedicated to the Alaska run, the Northern Lights, came down to a dock not very far from where we are sitting today. It was loaded with ammunition. The crew of 23 Americans who were on that vessel were all given the opportunity to get off. Instead, they all chose to sail, all 23 of them, into the war zone. We were one of the first ships to supply for the preparation of the invasion of Iraq. One of our proudest moments, and I call that Exhibit A, and I call this here that we're looking at Exhibit B of support of the Jones Act. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. So our next speaker is the Commander, U.S. Transportation Command, General Paul Silva. General Silva oversees all of the global air, land, and sea transportation for the Department of Defense. He's a command pilot with over 3,100 hours in Air Force's big wing aircraft, to include the C-5, the C-17, and the KC-10s. Please join me in welcoming General Silva.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to share this stage with representatives of the maritime industry and innovators in that industry. David Alfries said of American business, it could equally have been said of American national defense: never innovate to compete, innovate to change the game, and innovate you have. This ship not only represents the largest LNG-powered container ship, but an innovative modular approach to supply chain management that will certainly make a difference in our domestic trades, but will give us the basis from which to innovate in our international trades. With Administrator Chip Janikin, I share the responsibility for making sure that our maritime industry is ready in times of national defense. And I will borrow from Sir Walter Raleigh, who said nearly 200 years ago, the nation that controls the seas controls commerce, and that nation that controls commerce controls the riches of the world. In our national defense debate today, the singular key issue is about being able to innovate quickly enough to be the nation that dominates the seas, to be the nation that dominates commerce, and to be that nation that dominates the security of the world. The partnership between NASSCO, TOTE, and Saltchuk has showed us that we can do that together. I'm privileged to be a part of today's ceremony, and I congratulate you on the innovation that is represented by that 15,500 tons of steel, cable, and piping. Sophie, congratulations on being the sponsor of this magnificent ship to bring the Marlin class into reality. Thank you all. Congratulations.
Thanks, General. So our principal speaker this evening is certainly no stranger to NASSCO. Representative Hunter represents California's 50th Congressional District, elected to his first term in 2008. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee and the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, as well as Education and Workforce. He serves as the chairman on the subcommittee for Coast Guard and Maritime Transportation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Honorable Duncan Hunter.
Thanks. I'll see my time up there, too.
You're good.
We're going to stay right on time. It's great to be with you. If you live east of here, I could be your congressman. I thank you, the one person. I appreciate it. This is a nonpartisan speech, so I won't say what side of the aisle that I'm on. Hey, let me say first, to those of you in the cheap seats, You guys down there and over there, this is your ship. Give yourselves a hand. It's great to see, you know, there's a lot of people up here in suits and ties, and they all have very important jobs, and they all represent different interests, but the ability to make things and make things of value and actually see those things of value get put into use for this country, that's a great thing. And you guys make it happen. Fred Harris said that there's over 35 languages spoken here in this shipyard. 35 languages. You don't see that in tech application companies where people program. You might see 3 or 4. To see 35 in one place, all working towards the American dream, and all the families that are here, and the kids that are here, and all of you that are supported by what we call the Jones Act. The Jones Act was mentioned a few times. Let me tell you what it is. It means if you do commerce on American shores from an American coastline to another point on the American coastline, you've got to use an American ship. It's got to be crewed with American officers. It's got to be crewed with American crew, and it's got to be built using American materials. You show me what other industry has those requirements, and I'll show you this many jobs working in that industry to build things like this. I want to thank the Coast Guard especially. I've seen Admiral Servideo many times back east, and I'll tell you what, if the Coast Guard wanted to make it difficult for you, they could have, but they didn't. What they did is work with you to try to make the newest, most profound changes to transiting the ocean that we've seen in decades. Who knows what's going to happen with the price of oil, but you now know that you're burning much cleaner and you're burning much cheaper. I'll just finish with this because we have 2 minutes left here. My son Duncan cut the steel on the first ship. And I wanted him to come here especially and just look at this monument and this testimony to American power. General Selva said it. If you control the ocean, you control the world. It was true 3,000 years ago, and it's true today. If you control the ocean, you control the world. The people that built this ship are the same people that would be building amphibious ships, that would be building frigates, cruisers, the MLP, the forward afloat staging boat that you see down the way there. It's the same people working on the same ships. It's the same maritime officers and merchant marines and crews crewing these ships that we would look to in time of national need and national emergency. This is American power. And again, to all of you in the cheap seats, to be able to take 35 languages and all speak the same language of the American dream and American power and American ingenuity, I want to say thank you and God bless you. I'm just honored to be a part of this great thing with all these great companies and great people. Thank you.
So just like fine wine, we shall not launch until it's time. So we got a couple minutes here left before what we're really here for. So I'd like to ask Pat to play a couple more songs for us, and I appreciate that.
I could talk for longer if you want.
Well, you got a choice. All right, we got a choice. Do you want to hear the band?
Yes.
Sorry, Congressman. Pat, it's over to you. So we do have some more dignitaries in the office, but Congressman Hunter mentioned it. I too would like to echo for all the folks that are back there. Thank you all for coming out to see us. Hey, wave! Thank you very much for coming out to your shipyard and seeing this great launch. So I do like to recognize a couple more folks here in the audience while we got a couple minutes here before we launch. First is Rear Admiral David Lewis, who's Commander, Naval Space and Warfare Center right here in San Diego. Admiral Lewis, thank you for being here. Rear Admiral Jeff Brooks, United States Navy retired. He's the General Manager of NASSCO Norfolk. Jeff, great to see you. Rear Admiral Phil Green, United States Navy retired, and he's the President and CEO of TOTE Services. Admiral Green, I saw you earlier. Captain Howard Warner, United States Navy Commanding Officer, Naval Base Point Loma. Captain Jonathan Spanner, United States Coast Guard. He's Coast Guard Sector Commander, San Diego. Captain Christopher Plummer, United States Navy, Chief of Staff, Navy Region Southwest. And oh, by the way, his daughter works in engineering at NASSCO. Yay! And Ms. Jacqueline Reynoso, President and Chief Operating Officer for National City Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Jamie Moraga, the immediate past President, San Diego Military Advisory Council. Jamie. Mr. Bob Korber, Vice President, General Manager for BAE Systems. Mr. Matt Carr, President and Chief Operating Officer for Cal Marine. Matt's got the coolest looking Volkswagen van. And Mr. Jerry Lamb, the Director of Government Relations for General Dynamics. Jerry, great to see you. Okay, Pat, it's all over to you for another one. So now Fred is going to escort our sponsor up to the striker bar for the christening and launch. So Anthony, if you'd like to go up as well. Go, yep. Mark.
We're just going to stand over here.
Are you okay?
Yeah, we'll just stay over here.
All right, no problem. No problem.
We're just going to stand right here.
You sure it can only go one direction?
Yeah. His son? Yeah. So now it's over to the christening platform. Mrs. Sacco, would you please christen the ship?
Forto, I christen thee, Isla Bella. May God bless this ship and all who sail in her.
And there she goes. So on behalf of the men and women of General Dynamics NASSCO, we certainly thank you for attending tonight's ceremony. Please be careful as you make your way back to your home. And again, thank you very much for coming out. It was an honor for us for you to be here. Thank you.